It is Tuesday, and my leech, you know what's up. It's the first Tuesday of the month, so it's time to get into some tabletop RPG elite philosophy, and we're going to continue in our series on It's About the Story. But before we do that, I want to turn your attention over to Ronin Publishing. They're having a crazy sale. Y'all guys, you saw that video. Maybe you didn't, and if you didn't, here's the video that you want to go to. Find out about this crazy sale Ronin Publishing has. And listen, I have no skin in the game here. It's not an affiliate link. They wouldn't be making any money anyway if it was an affiliate link. It's not an affiliate link. I just want you guys to get in on the best deal. And when I mentioned Modern Age as a system for beginners in my video on that, actually 2 videos on that, I had no idea they were going to go on sale at that time. So you want to talk about Providence? What? Yeah. So you better go over there right now. Hit the link in the description below to go over and see about the sale. That video is only 2 minutes. And then you can come back here and watch the rest of this video. So today we're going to get into part 3 of our series on It's About the Story. It's totally about the story for an RPG Elite. There's no question about that. No story, no RPG Elite is playing, period. And really, a lot of people just won't play, even though instinctively they won't know why, but they just won't play because there is no story. And we're going to get into that today. Now, in part 1 and part 2, if you haven't seen those 2, links for those are in the description below. Go take a look at those, and then you can come back here and follow up with part 3. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a third type of storytelling medium that has inspired the creation of many tabletop RPGs. And then we're just going to get down to brass tacks. What is a tabletop RPG for? We'll get to that. And then I'm going to meet you on the other side with the question of the vid. So, see you there. Comic books are like static film and television. They engage the eyes more, fusing illustration with text. Many are serials, each issue being another episode in the overarching storyline. There have been benefits of reading comic books similar to reading novels, like improving literacy skills. This particular category of storytelling has inspired many different tabletop RPGs. Let me give you some examples. What I consider to be the greatest tabletop RPG of all time, Marvel Superheroes Advanced Edition. But then there are others. Golden Heroes, Villains and Vigilantes, DC Heroes, Heroes Unlimited, and more. And some comic books are worth a lot of money. One reason has to do with certain events that happened in the story. The event was so climactic in the history of comics that it changed the trajectory of the story, and people loved it. And they loved it not just because of the characters, not just because the art was great, because sometimes it wasn't so great. No, it was because of what happened in the story. Because for them, it was about the story. Tabletop RPGs are a medium to tell a story. In short, it's an art form. This is the first major misstep many people in the tabletop RPG community make. They believe it's primarily a game, and though it is one, it's a particular kind of game. In short, it's a storytelling game. Like movies, television, and comic books and novels, it's just another way to tell a story, an alternative storytelling method. And though, yes, it's the red-headed stepchild of the storytelling mediums, it's still a storytelling medium. Now, this premise is crucial to understand and is a major for the RPG elite. And actually, really for anyone who truly understands what a tabletop RPG is for. It's there to tell a story. Now, there are those within the community that I've mentioned before who insist that tabletop RPG sessions are not about the story. It's just about the fun and that's it. Well, let me say this. I'll say this about as clear as I can. Wrong, false, error, often left field, beyond left field. Now, the reason why they're all those things is because their presupposition is wrong, which is that tabletop RPGs are not a storytelling medium, or they are not defining story in a tabletop RPG correctly. So when somebody says it's about the story, they automatically assume it's something that those people are not thinking about. Though they may not say that explicitly, they say it implicitly when they talk about the RPG session not being about the story. If your foundational premise is wrong, then everything else is wrong. It's fruit from the poisonous tree. So in one sense, though, they are right. And that's because there are far too many people in the tabletop RPG culture who commit tabletop RPG abuse. Now, as you can see, I've done a video on that, so you can go and look at that, and if you're already upset about what I'm saying here, you'll really be upset after you see that video. And this abuse is perceived as normative because everyone seems to be doing it. Okay, just because everyone seems to be doing something doesn't mean that that was the way it was intended to be done. This is true for tabletop RPGs. So instead of being an alternative means of storytelling, there's this inordinate focus on mechanics and dice and systems, not understanding that those things are there to support the telling of a story. So in other words, they keep everything in a low-level role-playing area as an end. And they just ignore the high-level role-playing elements, which is primarily how a role-playing game is defined, but is definitely not for an RPG elite to stay in the low level at all. Now, as I said before, I've been playing tabletop RPGs just shy of 40 years, and I know what preceded them. I know they have a tenuous tie to wargaming from the 60s and 70s. I get it. But if they were intended to be those things, they would be labeled, okay, here it comes now, war games, not role-playing games. Those things in a role-playing game are there for the end of what a role-playing game is supposed to be for, which is the creation of a story. However, creation of a story in a tabletop RPG is different from all those other mediums that we have mentioned in this series in some key ways in terms of how the story is told. And we're going to look at that in part 4 of this series. Okay, so now that I probably have sufficiently rubbed somebody the wrong way, I know I always do, but oh well, such is life. I still want to welcome your comments, and here is the question of the vid. How important is the story for you? You may not be an RPG elite. I get it. Not everybody that comes to this channel are RPG elites. You might be an RPG elite in the making or whatever, but you tell me, how important is the story to you? Is it the deal breaker where if there's no story, there's no playing? Does it have to be part story, part just kind of playing around? Or does the story just not matter at all? Let me know. Comments below. Your brother is done. Servant is served out. A brother has just got to.
So exit. Stage left.
So until Friday, folks, God willing, I'm going to catch ya. Been a while since I did this one. On the flip. Peace. 5,000 leets. Howdy.